Well guys, I finally feel like I've spent enough time with Little Big Planet on the PS3 to give you a pretty accurate review. And let me just tell you about where I've put my hours in the game before I give it. I've put about 40 hours into one of my levels. That's going through the whole process of taking images, creating things. Very addicting to put it all together, but 40 hours plus in level creator. I actually tried starting a second level, which I put about 5 hours into, but it's nowhere near completed, so maybe 45 hours. Single player, I put about maybe 6 to 8 hours into there. I wasn't going crazy trying to collect all the items to collect for, like stickers and objects. I wasn't going crazy looking for them. I was kind of just casually going through the levels. That took me about 6 or 8 hours. Online, playing other people's levels, I would say 10 to 15 hours in that. That's going through co-op or just hanging out and playing them by myself. So overall, I'd probably say I have around 65 to 70 hours, maybe a little bit more in Little Big Planet. So I think that's good enough for me to give my review. So I guess I'll just start off. I'll break it down into 3 separate parts and then break this down a little bit further. Starting off, I'll start with the single player. If you were to buy Little Big Planet just for single player, not having your PS3 hooked up online, you would have a very satisfying experience. However, you would be missing out on the meat of the game, which is online, playing with friends. You can still do it on the same console, but you'll miss out on the fun of collecting stickers to use in creating your levels. You'll miss out on all of that. But taking single player for what it is, it's very well made. Basically everything that you see in single player you can do in your level creators, so it's more enjoyable to first try and create your levels and then go and play single player, because if you fiddle around with the creation tools and you're like, man, how do people make these amazing levels, and then you go back and play the developer levels, basically everything that you see in the developer made levels you can do. So that makes it all the more amazing, the stuff that they put in there. It just makes it more enjoyable to say, wow, they really must have thought this out. I mean, they are game creators, they're game developers, but just the fact that what they're making, you have the power to make the same exact thing as them. But basically, single player is broken down into a couple different worlds, all with their different themes. Really, the main arc story of the game is that people in the world, like ourselves, every time we dream, every time we take a nap in class or something, all of our thoughts go up into this little big planet. They all gather, and that's their explanation for this whole big mumbo-jumbo of all these different creative levels. And that's basically what single player is, One time you'll be in the forest, another time you'll be in Ice World, another time you'll be in an Arabian theme level, or a skeleton wedding theme, They got all these crazy levels, safaris. But basically, single player, it starts off extremely easy, and it gets increasingly difficult, mainly because the controls aren't spot on for the later levels, but it gets increasingly difficult. Doesn't mean that it is overly difficult, because you actually want to keep trying and trying and trying, just so that you can see more of the level, so that you can advance onto the next stage. It's very enjoyable. Is it worth buying the game, though, just for single player? Yes, if you don't mind a pretty short game, and if you don't mind all the collectible objects being pretty much pointless, since you're not going to be really, unless you want to create your own level but not have anyone to really share with. So, moving on to the next stage, which would be level creation. Basically, when you're going throughout the single player campaign, you're finding stickers and objects. You can then take these objects and stickers and using them to create your own level. Level Creator is very robust, much better than I could have ever imagined. I was in the beta, but even then I was so surprised with what they had in there. You can really construct anything, really. I mean, not anything, but, if you want some object to fly this way and talk when it gets up there and explode when it gets over here, and you want that gate to open at a certain time and drop out a certain amount of items, and then if you grab those items and you're greedy, you can have an enemy fly out and swoop down and kill you. Or if you kill that enemy, you get an even bigger prize. All these different things. Think about playing all the platformers you've ever played, all the tricks and hidden places that they have, all their enemy placements, all of their obstacles. You can do them all in Little Big Planet and more. So basically, you can start off with a blank slate, or you can do a level template. I don't recommend the level templates because they're very large. I'd say to learn it, you got to start with the very simple basics. start with, you know, learning every single tutorial, and the tutorials last a long time. You know, they're quite, I'd say, a good 2 or more hours for the tutorials, depending on how much time you put into actually learning each one. But you know, they have materials. You can make stuff out of cardboard, you can make stuff out of bricks, you can make stuff out of all these different materials they have. Certain ones that affect the environment in certain ways, like ones that won't drop, the ones that aren't affected by gravity. You know, and you can combine these different materials to make really awesome looking landscapes and everything like that. You can make enemies, they allow you to, you can put in text, and perhaps the biggest draw of Level Creator for me would be probably the PlayStation Eye. If you have the PlayStation Eye, it really adds a new dimension to your levels, because for me, I just take my camera, I either take a picture of something I have around my room, or I take a picture of something on the computer, and then paste that onto, say, a piece of cardboard in the game. Take a cutting tool, which I might do a video for later, because that's actually a pretty advanced tool that not too many people take advantage of properly. Take the picture, put it on a piece of cardboard, cut it around, and basically you have this character. You can create, you know, a picture of Mario or Luigi or Sonic or anything, and you can put them in your levels. I think that's like the secret weapon of Little Big Planet in terms of online level creation. So after you create your levels, you can choose to share them online, in which anybody around the world can play them. Now, so far it's been pretty hard getting people to actually find my levels, or find the lesser known popular levels. Like, unless you have Final Fantasy or God of War in your title, it's a little hard to get your level recognized. So far, last time I checked, around 75 people have played my level, and 10 people have hearted it. Hearted it means you can add it to your favorites. Everybody that's on their friends list can go and check their favorites and play it. So that's how your levels kind of spread around Little Big Planet. But basically, once you share your level, anyone in the world can play it. If they have friends online that they're playing with, they can go and play your level co-op. So that's awesome. That's the biggest thing about Little Big Planet, is this online sharing community. So after your level gets shared, you can see how it advances. People can leave comments on your level telling you what to fix, what they like about it. They can give one word to describe your level. Is it hectic? Is it easy? Is it boring? Is it empty? They can do that so that people, when they go to play your level, they know what to expect. What else? So basically, after your level's on there, anyone can play it. Now, that brings me to the next part of playing online and playing other people's levels. You can buy Little Big Planet, and you can totally ignore Level Creator. That's like a whole separate thing. You can buy it, and I would say you would be totally... You'll have tons to do with the online portion of this game, because basically every day, more and more levels are being added. And what I've played so far, you know, there's user-created levels themed around games like Mirror's Edge, obviously Sonic and Mario, but, you know, I've played one that's themed around the game Splatterhouse, if you remember that back from TurboGrafx and Sega Genesis. They had one of those levels. My level itself is themed around video games, and if you search my name, PeteDorr, on Little Big Planet, you should be able to find it. It's called Game World. But basically, you can say you can join a party, and they have this little hub online where you can invite 3 friends, and the leader can basically just go around and pick levels to play, you know, and you just go through these user-created levels and play together, and you can do this on your same home console as well, you know, if you just want to sit on both the same console and go through the levels. But that's basically how it happens, you know. Every day people are developing these really, really awesome levels, and as time goes on, I can only imagine what some of these levels are going to be like. Probably much better than the developer-created levels. But it's really, really enjoyable. I can't stress it enough how enjoyable it is, even the really bad levels, just to go through and have the sense that you're playing something that someone else created. Especially the good levels. Just, man, I mean, just the time and effort that people put into these levels is just so well worth it to go through them and feel the sense of enjoyment of completing these levels. And you know, there's online leaderboards because they can place where they want the score bubbles to be. So that's an incentive to go through and try and, you know, get the top score for someone's level. But let me just break it down into the little subcategories really fast. The music is amazing. Soundtrack in this game is really, really great. Can't stress that enough. The graphics are so... It's like imagine if you took, you know, real-life objects and you made your own little level in real life. Think of that's what Little Big Planet would be. It's very stylized. If you see a screenshot of Little Big Planet, you know it's Little Big Planet. Controls, probably my only complaint about the game. I don't mind so much what people are complaining about with his 3 planes of foreground and background. My biggest problem is, you know, jumping stuff, jumping around. But 5 seconds, basically, if I had to rate this game out of a 10, it would be a 9.5. I highly, highly recommend it.